Do you want to move to Canada? Are you a healthcare professional? Are you overwhelmed by the complex requirements? Well, today is the best day for you because we have an expert Canadian immigration consultant to talk about everything about moving to Canada with confidence. If you don't know me yet, allow me to introduce myself. I'm one the top 15 LinkedIn expert in Dubai and number one most influential Filipino on LinkedIn. I'm co-hosting this specific and very special podcast episode with Lotika Lidl. Let me give a small introduction first about Lotika so you can know more about how she can help you today. Lotika Lidl is the founder and lead consultant at Lidl Immigration, specializing in helping healthcare professionals and their families navigate the complex process of immigrating to Canada. Having made Canada her home over 20 years ago, Lotika understands the challenges firsthand and is committed to providing personalized expert guidance to ensure a smooth and successful transition. With her extensive experience, she offers end-to-end support from visa approval to settlement with a focus on minimizing risk and maximizing success for healthcare professionals and their families. Why work with Lotica? I love about she's offering end-to-end support. Of course, to get higher success rate and fast-track options for healthcare professionals. And the services she's offering, we're going to talk more about that later, but not to mention a few, she's offering permanent residency for healthcare workers and families, express entry and provincial nominee program, work permits, and employer-sponsored visa. Other than this podcast, Lotica has a LinkedIn newsletter too. Please subscribe to that so you can know more about how to move to Canada with confidence. So now, without further ado, let me bring Lotica on stage. Hi, Lotica. Congratulations on your podcast.
Well, thank you so much, Wanda, for giving me this opportunity. I'm really excited about my podcast, and I hope it will help a lot of healthcare professionals.
Definitely, Lotica. I'm very excited because, to be honest, my family and I applied for Canada, but we gave up. And I think it's good. That's why I'm very excited because I know you're one of the best person who can help really people to go to Canada with confidence. Now, let's talk about the first question first. Why did you start this podcast called Canada Immigration Guide for Healthcare Professionals?
Yeah, that's a good question, Wanda. So, over the years, working as an immigration consultant, I noticed that healthcare professionals like doctors, nurses, they face some of the most complicated pathways when it comes to immigrating to Canada. So, it's not just about getting your PR visa, it's also
Mhm.
about understanding the credential recognition, licensing exams, provincial requirements, and it's a lot. And I kept seeing incredibly talented people feeling overwhelmed, lost, and sometimes even giving up because they
Mhm.
didn't have the right guidance. And that's
True.
why I created this podcast. I wanted to build a space where healthcare professionals could get clear, honest, and practical advice all in one place. A place where they would feel supported, understood, and empowered to make the move with confidence. So really, whether they are dreaming of coming to Canada or they are halfway through their immigration journey, this podcast is here to give them a real world insight, strategies, and encouragement. Because really, Canada does need healthcare professionals, and there are really good opportunities for healthcare professionals in Canada.
Wow. I love what you said, Lotika, and I agree with you. I mean, moving to Canada, it's kind of complicated. It's kind of complicated from my experience and listening to you alone. I mean, in terms of the healthcare professional, let's demystify that further. I mean, what makes it, complicated for healthcare professionals to move to Canada? Can you talk about one thing and let's talk more about why it's complicated?
Yeah, so there are challenges that healthcare professionals face because Canada doesn't automatically recognize most healthcare qualifications, right? That
Oh.
from other countries. So, if you're a
Mm.
doctor or nurse or any other healthcare professional, you need to get, your education and credential assessed, right? So basically, depending on your profession, you'll have to work with different organizations. Like for example, for general degree assessments, you have to go to organizations like West World Health Education Services. But for licensing, it's really more specific. So, for example, doctors, they need to go to Medical Council of Canada. For nurses,
Oh.
they need to go to National Nursing Assessment Services, right? And
Mm.
then for other healthcare professionals like physiotherapists, pharmacists, they all have their own regulatory bodies in Canada who they need to go through to get their credentials assessed. So it is a bit
Wow.
complicated, yeah.
Just listening to is like, wow, that's a lot. Because, honestly, even from my experience, I was like, wait, I'm an accountant for 20 years. Why do I need additional certifications, right? But
Yeah.
of course, for the doctors, the nurses, and other healthcare professionals, they need to understand that, experience enough, and it's not enough. You need
Yeah.
those level of certifications, like you mentioned, from regulatory bodies for them to have their practice in Canada. Now, maybe Lotika, you can just maybe explain also a little why is it complicated, that Canada requires to have another level of certification by Canada in terms of the licenses that they have.
Yeah, and that's a fair question. If you're an IT worker or marketing professional, you just have to show your education and your experience
Mm,
and language skill, and you're good to go, right? But for
yeah.
healthcare professional, there is that extra layer, and it really comes down to one word, and that is regulation. Like in Canada, most
Mm,
healthcare jobs are regulated professions, and that means that you really need to go through all those processes that are managed, that I mentioned, to get your license recognized. Not only that, you also, all the provinces and territories in Canada have their own regulatory bodies, right?
oh.
So the
Mm,
process becomes slightly different. So it's not like one size fits all. It really, there is a lot of complexity that goes through it, right? So really, for a healthcare professional, they're trying to navigate their immigration, plus they are juggling all the work that they need to do when it comes to their education and their experience, getting that recognized. So it's a lot for them to handle.
mm. I think, Lotika, I agree with you. It makes more sense, right? Because they have to be regulated first. At the end of the day, these healthcare professionals are managing the life, the life of people. So we need to make sure that their licenses are valid and certified when they go to Canada. Now I know a lot of people might be overwhelmed. What do I need to do first, Lotica? So for example, if I am a doctor or a nurse, like I know I need immigration help, but what's the first thing that I need to do? Because I know Canada is massive, and then there's, international jurisdiction or regulation. There's even local regulation, as you mentioned. Where do I start if I want to move to Canada?
Yeah, so the first step would be to get all your documentations ready early. So don't
Mm,
wait halfway through your PR application to start gathering your documents. So make sure you have everything complete and organized, and that will really help you in the long run. The second is you should tackle your language test early. So whether giving IELTS or CELPIP, the sooner you write the test, the better. And because education language plays a big role as far as your CRS scores are concerned in your express entry, right? And
yeah.
also start your licensing and immigration process at the same time. A lot of people
Mm,
think that they have to, do one thing first and the other next. Start both of those things at the same time. It'll save you a lot of headache later on. And also, if you can get a job offer, like that can be amazing. So you can get a job offer through the LMI process, and that can really, really help you in the long run.
Wow, that's really a good tip. I think, initially when you go to Canada, you're just thinking about moving. I'm
Yeah.
gonna pack my bags. But, as you rightly said, first get those certifications, sorted out by the right body. At the same time, do those language exams. I find it very weird. Like, I know English, but why do I need to even take every profession that wants to go to Canada always needs to have that English exam. Am I correct, Latika?
Yes, that's true. In order to immigrate to Canada, even if you're coming from an English speaking country, you still need to take your English exam. That's a requirement.
Wow, that's something, right? Even if you're from an English speaking, but
Yeah.
I think, see, we just have to honor the rules of the country. That's what I'll say about it. Now, let's move to the next question. Now, maybe you can also explain, what do most healthcare professionals miss, right? What mistakes did they even do when they want to move to Canada? What have you seen so far?
Well, I think a lot of people don't do enough. They don't do enough research before
Hmm.
they come to Canada. So it is very important to do some research on, which province you are moving to, what are the licensing requirements there, the community that you want to live in, what are how can you start networking even before you get to Canada, right? So those are some of the things that you can do before you get to Canada. Also, there are a lot of resources that the Canadian government also provides to newcomers. So it's very important to get in touch with those organizations as well, because a lot of them would also help newcomers with their job search. They will point them in the right direction as to which organizations that they should be getting in touch with to help them through their journey in Canada. So those are some of the things that I think it's very important to do before you come to the country.
Now, Lotika, because I know how healthcare professionals are very busy. Like, I met a doctor, he even told me one that I only see my family like twice a week because he's like that
Mhm.
level of busy. Even nurses are very busy too. Now, maybe you can explain like how immigration consultants like you can help those very busy professionals make their lives easier for them in terms of moving to Canada.
Well, absolutely. I mean, as I've mentioned before, immigration is very complicated, right? There's so many things that you need to do, and then for people who are in the healthcare professional, it's like double the work, right? They are doing so many
Mm.
things altogether. So, working with an immigration consultants, you will get the right guidance on what it is that you need to do at the right time, right? What are the steps that you need to take? What are some of the things that you need to tackle? So that really would helps a lot of my clients relax a little bit because they know that they are in good hands, that everything is being taken care of. And then once they have all their paperwork and they come to Canada, my organization, we also help them get in touch with the right organizations, the government organizations that are there to help them with getting in front of employers or taking additional exams that they need to take. So working with somebody who really knows the whole journey really makes it easy for my clients to settle in Canada faster.
Thanks, Latika, for that. I think the beauty about you being in Canada already is that you already know. Because sometimes,
Exactly.
like people I know here in Dubai, there's so many immigration consultants, right? But first, you don't meet the owner, you meet the staff. And then sometimes, what happens after you made the payment, they like forgot you already. And I think what I love about what you said is that, even before deciding to go there, or even after arrival, you're going to help them, connect with the right people, the right organizations for them to really settle well, right? That really makes a difference. Now, one more question is that if they are starting today, they're like, Lotika, where do I start? What do I need to do first? Should I call you or should I just read first? What's your best advice for people to fast track their move to Canada?
Yeah, so obviously, it is important to do a little bit of research, but I'm here to help. So I would suggest if you're interested in moving to Canada, you can contact me, and I would love to talk to you to give you all the information that you need in order to start the journey.
That's good. Now, Lotika, just a question because majority of the people I also met, they're concerned about okay, they want to move to Canada, but more than anything else, they also want to move with their children. Now,
Mhm.
can you help them both in processing the visa for themselves and visa for their families? So how does it work?
Absolutely. So most of the healthcare professionals that come to Canada immigrate along with their family. We help them through the whole process. When they, for example, if they are coming through express entry, the application would be for the whole family, not just for that one individual. So yes, Canada does allow you to immigrate with your family. Whether it is through a provincial nomination program, whether it is through express entry, or even if it is through work visa.
Wow, that's a lot of jargons, right?
Mhm.
Rotika, can you explain a little bit what's the difference between the provincial national program, the express entry, and you said one more. Can we take it step by by step for our listeners also?
Sure. Okay, so express entry is a federal program. So if you are coming through express entry as a healthcare professional, you are going to come through the what we call the federal skilled worker program. And
Hmm.
so this program is a point-based program. So to get your points, we'll look at your age, your education, your work experience, your language skills, and then you will get a score. So healthcare professionals often score really well and get high CR scores. But the good news is that because we have, such a need for healthcare professionals, the Canadian government has introduced a category-based express entry draw specifically for healthcare professionals.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Hmm.
so it is getting easier for healthcare professionals to come to Canada. So there's also something called the provincial nomination program. So provinces like Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, and Saskatchewan, and some other provinces actually have special immigration streams just for healthcare professionals. And if you apply through the PNP program, a provincial nomination program, and the province it nominates you, then you get an extra 600 points in the express entry, which basically is a
Um,
golden ticket, right? For you to get your invitation to apply. And then there are also, provinces, we call them Atlantic provinces. So those are Newfoundland, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI. They have their own program for healthcare professionals. And these are smaller communities. So if you want to work in a smaller community, the program for the Atlantic provinces, which is called the AIP program, would be great because you will be working in a smaller cities, and so the community is very well knit there. And then we also have something called the Rural and Northern Immigration Program. It's called the RNIP, and through this program you'll be working in really small welcoming communities in Canada. And a lot of people like that because they want to work in a place where they know everybody. So this would be
hmm.
another program that healthcare professionals can look into. So there are so many different programs here in Canada for healthcare professionals. It's just figuring out what would be the right program for you.
Hmm. Thank you, Latika. That's a lot of information, but I think it gives a lot of clarity of okay, wait, there's so many options for healthcare professionals because they're wanted in Canada. But I think at the end of the day, as you rightly said, think first of what's right for you, and having that best advice and a conversation can help you brainstorm. Yeah, okay, maybe I'm right for this province or this kind of path, and that is where experts like you play a part. Because I know when I applied, I was like so confused. Why do we need to rush? Because like, no, no, you have to pay now because it's your age, you're gonna have deductions now. Lotika, I know, and you did mention that age matters a lot in terms of the application. Now, what's your best advice now? Is it starting in your 30s, the best age, or what's the best age for application?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, there's a lot of, it's not just your age, it's also your language scores and your experience and all of
Mm.
that. But yeah, I mean, normally what happens is the younger you are, the easier it is to integrate with it in a new country. But that's not to say that people who are older have not had that, have
Mm.
not been able to do that. But yes, you do get scores according to your age, CRS points. And I would say, 20 to 35 is where you get the maximum marks, maximum scores.
So 20 to 35 years old. So for those of you who are planning your future in Canada, I think it's always about what's my age now? Where do
Right.
you want to be, right? And I think I've met a couple of my friends too who's also that my children is going to college by this age, then start applying that right already to make sure that they get the entry. Now, Lotika, any further advice that you want to give so people can stop the overwhelm and move to Canada with confidence?
Yeah. So the only advice I would have is that be strategic and make sure that you are looking at the full picture. Canada is a wonderful country. The life, if you get here, the life here is amazing. I'm an immigrant myself, and so I have nothing but good things to say about Canada, and especially for healthcare professionals. Given the fact that there are so many vacancies, that Canada really has a big gap, this is the right time for healthcare professionals to move to Canada. And again, like I said, be strategic. Make sure that you know what are the documents you need. Do your language test, and make sure that all you get everything assessed, and be prepared. Right? Those are some of the things that I would highlight.
Thank you, Lotika. I'm closing the episode now. I did learn a lot, but I think the most important part of it is if you want to move to Canada, do it early because, as you said, an age of 20 to 35 years old is the best way to start applying. Second, be strategic in terms of what you're gonna do first, and having the right help from the right experts is the best way to do it. And of course, getting things sorted out by, of course, researching or again getting help from the people to shortcut the process for you. Now, Lotika, if people want to reach out to you, if they want to learn more about the PNP, the express entry, and the many other programs, what's the best way to do that?
Absolutely. You can, go to my website through my company name, which is Little Immigration Consulting, and you can book an appointment with me, and I will be happy to chat with you.
Thank you, Lotika, again for your time. I'm very excited, and I'm excited for the upcoming episodes. If you do have any questions for Lotika, we will go live every month to share and answer every question that you have with regards to immigrating to Canada. Thank you again. God bless you. Thank you, Lotika.
Thank you so much, Wanda. Appreciate this opportunity.